Hello from We Own This Town. This is The Hills Are Alive, a movie musical podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Kelsey.
And today we are discussing the 2006 movie musical Dreamgirls.
Dreamgirls.
Based on, I think, a 1981 Broadway show.
Yeah, another classic 80s musical.
Uh-huh.
The 80s were such a good time
Yes.
for Broadway musicals.
Yeah, but I guess before this we had discussed Phantom
Phantom.
from the 80s.
And Les Mis was from the 80s.
Mm-hmm. No spoilers, we might be going there soon.
Yeah, we've hinted at that pretty heavily. What else was in the 80s?
80s was, what was...
I mean, Cats.
Was
but
Miss Saigon 80s?
Miss Saigon was 80s. King and I was 80s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
80s was like a heyday of like big production. It was like the first...
Wait, was the King and I in the 80s? It doesn't matter.
I don't think King and I was 80s. It might have had a revival in the 80s. I think it might have come out before that, though. But anyway, here we are, Dreamgirls.
Yes.
2006, starring Beyonce.
Yeah, just a small name you might recognize.
Little old Beyonce. Introducing Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah?
Who I had seen I watched that season of American Idol. And she was let go way too early.
Yeah, she was, I think, 7th. Mm-hmm. So she didn't do great. And I mean, I know Simon Cowell, and he was a bit of a caricaturized Simon
Villain.
Cowell.
Yes.
Yeah. On American Idol, but he was like unusually
Yeah, I feel
cruel and wrong about her.
I mean, and there was, I don't know, I don't want to get into like the bigger scope of American Idol, but I feel like they didn't really treat incredible black female singers very well on that show. It was very geared towards like kind of mediocre pretty people.
Except, I mean, okay, Kelly Clarkson is incredible.
Absolutely, yes.
But she was the first winner, and it's fair to say it's been going downhill ever since.
Sure. I mean, who do you have? You've got Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood won. I think those are their like the big names that have come out of there.
There's another girl that does a lot of Broadway stuff now. She was on it, wasn't she?
Oh, Catherine Mcphee?
Yeah.
Who married,
yeah.
what's his name?
That guy, David Foster.
David Foster, yes.
She did Waitress, right?
Was she in Waitress?
I thought she wrote it.
No, that's that singer Sarah Bareilles.
Oh. Catherine Mcphee does something.
Yeah, she's done Broadway and stuff.
But she was American Idol, right?
I think she lost to Taylor Hicks. The gray-haired one.
Country guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was in that show Smash. Do you remember Smash? It was about...
Yeah, I mean...
It was about Broadway or something.
Yeah, I watched it, but I didn't really watch it.
And you've got Fantasia.
Yeah, she auditioned for Effie.
Really? Mm-hmm. Isn't Effie supposed to be like a little on the chubbier side, though, right?
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson actually gained weight for the role.
Really?
Yeah. 20 pounds.
Well, she did a great job.
While Beyonce lost 20 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, she wanted to look older for the later scenes as Dina. So she lost 20 pounds. She talked a lot about doing that cayenne pepper, lemon, maple syrup or whatever it is.
Diet.
Cleanse.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess, like, if you're trying to drop weight really fast for a role and you're comfortable gaining it all back, I guess that is a way to do it.
I mean, with any crash diet like that, like,
it's always going to come back.
Right. As soon as you go back to your old habits.
Otherwise, I would not endorse doing that to your body.
Unless you're Beyonce and you're losing weight
Like, just
for a
real
role.
quick. Just real quick. Yeah. And you can, like, pay doctors to monitor your health.
Yes. I think that Beyonce is kind of the unsung heroine of this production. I think she's incredible in it.
I mean, I think she's great, and I will say I remarked she's so much better than I remember her being. I think I probably was judging her a little too harshly because
Right.
A, I was like 18 and I knew everything, and B, I definitely thought of her as a pop star. And
not as an actress.
Yeah, and then, I mean, not as much today, but, like, still today, like, I just roll my eyes whenever I hear that a pop star is acting or an actor has a band. I'm just
Right.
like, ugh, give me a break.
30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah, or, like, Jeremy Renner's band, whatever it's called.
Oh, they probably do, like, blues rock or something.
It is. It's always blues rock. It's always blues rock. Yeah, but no, Beyonce is legitimately good in this movie.
And I recently saw a clip of her. She was in another movie about, what was it called? It was called, like, something Records. She played Etta James or something in it.
Yeah,
But
I know what you're talking about.
But I saw a clip of her, like, in one of the scenes where she's, like, I don't know, supposed to be, like, drunk or strung out or something. And she did a great job.
Yeah, you know, she talks about this movie as being her first acting role. And she had been in movies.
She was Foxy Cleopatra.
Yeah, that wasn't, I mean, it wasn't a good Austin Powers movie, and she wasn't great in it. But yeah, she talks about this being her first real acting role and how she hired a coach and she worked really hard, and it shows.
It does show.
Yeah, she did a great job. Is she my favorite in the movie? No.
How do you pronounce the actress's name who played Laurel?
Oh, shoot, what's her first name? I know
It's
her
like
middle
Anika-
name is
Anika?
Yeah, Anika Noni.
Rose. Anika Noni,
Noni Rose, yeah. So she had like just won a Tony a couple years before.
Yeah. And I think isn't she the voice of Tiana in Princess and the Frog?
Is she?
I think so, yeah.
That's great.
I love her.
I love that.
Who else do we got? We got Eddie Murphy playing Jimmy.
Eddie Murphy is my favorite in this movie.
He does a great job.
Oh my gosh. Talk about surprise acting hits.
And singing.
Because this was the first time that Eddie Murphy had delved into, like, sort of a dramatic role. And he's really, really good in it.
He is really good
And I
in
mean, I know he wasn't a huge singer, but he did have what I believe was a #1 hit.
My Girl Likes to Party All the Time.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was on Oprah. The whole cast was on Oprah. I watched a little bit of it on YouTube. Unfortunately, the whole episode is not available. But he was on it, and she was remarking, like, who knew you could sing like that? And he's like, well, I did put out a couple bullshit albums in the 80s.
And they were very popular.
Yeah. But no, he is a really good singer. But I was blown away by his acting. I thought he was really, really good in it. And now I really want to go home and watch Dolomite Is My Name, because I still haven't seen that one.
Well, one of the things that I read in just doing, like, a little bit of research was that it was him and Jennifer Hudson. They were the ones that got, like, the most critical acclaim for this movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That tracks with how I watched it.
And Jamie Foxx, a very believable villain.
He's great, though.
Yeah.
Okay, are he and Katie Holmes still together?
I had no idea that they were in the first place.
They've been together for like 7 years.
Really?
A really long time. Yeah, they keep it super low-key.
I had no idea.
Super, super low-key. Like, they've never publicly talked about it. I think they've only ever done one red carpet together, and it was somewhat recently. But they might have broken up, and if they did, my heart really goes out to Katie Holmes.
Surrey. Do you remember, like, I guess this is probably like 2010. Do you remember the website Surrey's Burn Book?
Like, just barely.
It was just, like, pictures of Surrey and her, like, and giving her, like, fake captions, like, shading other celebrity children.
Yeah, I think there was a time where there were just a lot of memorable pictures of Suri Cruise because she would always glare at the paparazzi.
She would glare, and she was wearing, like, posh little outfits.
Yeah, well, when she was, like, 4, she'd have, like, little kitten heels and a purse. Mm-hmm. My friend's 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old, I don't know. She was carrying a purse around the other day, and when we opened it up, it was just like grass.
Well, what am I going to need? I'm going to need my grass. I'm going to need my lip gloss. So who else is in the movie? I mean, we've touched on most of the notable names. You had in that lounge scene, there's an appearance from Loretta Devine, who played Laurel in the original.
Yeah, so I'm a big old dummy because I only knew that woman. I only knew Loretta Devine as Richard's wife on Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, I forgot you're a... What is there a name for the Grey's Anatomy fandom?
I don't know if there is.
Greyheads.
I mean, for a while, I think girls like to call themselves like Dark Sister or like Twisted Sisters or something, because that's like what Christina and Meredith called each other. Like it's been on for so long, and I can't stop watching it at this point.
Is it in like the 17th, 18th season or something?
I think 17th.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's so much has happened to them. So much.
Speaking of Grey's Anatomy, we watched Firefly Lane, and
oh yeah,
it was pretty bad. But we did watch the whole thing.
It has Sarah Chalk and Dr. Stevens. What's her real name?
Katherine Heigl.
Yeah, she. I think she was done dirty.
Yeah, she was made out to be a sort of...
like a much bigger villain than she is.
Like in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all I know is that there were like horror stories from her on set and stuff that she was...
I don't think horror stories. She did say... I think the worst thing she did was she publicly said that she wanted to be withdrawn from consideration for a Golden Globe because she didn't feel like the writing that season the writing for her character was like worthy of an award, which is pretty bad.
That is pretty bad.
Like that's pretty mean to everybody that worked on the show with you.
Right, and especially to the people that pretty much gave you your big break.
But like to be shunned from the industry for one mistake from a young actress.
Was she one of the... I feel she's one of the people throughout television history that has been asked to be killed off. Is that right? Was she killed off?
No.
Oh, she just left.
Yeah, I mean, she was fired.
Right, but I mean, as far as like how they wrote that into the show.
Yeah, she came back a couple times, and it's currently still open where like she could theoretically come back, but there's so many storylines beyond her that it wouldn't. They could find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, not to get on a Grey's Anatomy kick or whatever.
Anyway.
So yeah, we were talking about Loretta Devine. That's where you had known her from. But
yeah, and that made the song that she was singing so much more meaningful when you know that she was the first Laurel.
Yeah.
She's singing about the character that her character was in love with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this was... So the part originally was conceptualized, the part of Effie was conceptualized for Nell Carter, who was like a notable like TV actress pretty much at the time. But she went on to do some TV stuff instead of doing this show. She was in Ryan's Hope, which was a soap opera at the time in 1978. And then when it actually came time to do it, they came back to her again, and she had taken a starring role in the sitcom Give Me a Break. So she couldn't do it. And they kept coming back to Jennifer Holliday, who was the one who eventually did it. But she had concerns about the role. She wanted to have a bigger part. And in the original drafts, Effie was killed off at the end of the first act.
You know who it's based upon, the role Effie?
It's one of the Supremes, right?
Yeah, and she actually did die pretty young. She died at the age of 32.
Wow.
Her story's a lot more sad.
Yeah.
A lot sadder than Effie's.
I don't remember what her name was, though. The actual singer.
Oh, Florence Ballard.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But that's funny that that originally she wanted a bigger role because, okay, so this movie almost got made a few different times.
Uh-huh.
And the first time that it was almost they were going into pre-production talks. So the story goes that Whitney Houston was going to play Dina.
Interesting.
But Whitney also wanted to sing. and I'm telling you that I'm not going.
So she wanted the show to be rewritten so that Dina sings it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Which kind of, okay.
Yeah, and so they were just like, never mind.
Well, that's one of the things, I mean, even if it was Whitney or, in Beyonce's case, the funny thing is that Dina's not supposed to be that good of a singer.
Yeah, I think they had to tell Beyonce to tone it down.
Yeah.
Take it back a couple notches.
Yeah.
Too good.
Right. Except on Listen, which of course is...
Which was written for the movie.
And guess who co-wrote it? Beyonce.
Oh, well, there you go. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that she was a co-writer of it.
Uh-huh.
It's such a good song. I would have thought that was in the original. And
apparently, there were a couple of tours that she actually performed it on, which would have been...
that'd be cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jennifer Holliday, she, in the writing stages and workshopping stages, she kind of dropped in and out depending on how she was feeling the role was going. They had, at one point, had brought in Jennifer Lewis, actually.
Who's that?
She is... she's done a lot of things. Most recently, she's been on Blackish. She plays Beau's mother.
Oh, yeah.
But she's an iconic actress. Mm-hmm. But they brought her. They cast her in the workshopping stages. Mm-hmm. But then they brought Jennifer Holliday back, obviously, eventually. And that song actually won a Grammy.
Oh.
So
was it Listen that won one as well?
Yes. Oh, for the movie.
Yeah.
But the way that they did the cast album, they cut out a lot of the in between song. Basically, they separated it into very digestible tracks, and gave the songs more of a pop treatment for that, which is why it ended up being more successful as an album and then eventually a Grammy winner.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, do you want to jump into a recap?
Yeah. Have we established yet? Written and directed by Bill Condon.
This is the movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Originally composed by, and this is, Broadway and movie, Henry, is it Krieger?
Yeah, Krieger and Tom Eyen.
Yeah, I was really wondering how to pronounce.
I just assumed that's what it was. That's what it looks like.
Eyen.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to go with Eyen as well, but it could be a number of things.
Uh-huh.
They did, for the movie, there was additional scoring by Stephen Trask. Mm-hmm. And they did have people sort of retool the music, but they still went off the music in the book from Krieger and Eyen. Mm-hmm. It was filmed at a budget of $80 million, making it a huge box office success. They did, just internationally, they did well over $80 million.
I think I don't have this written down, but I think that I had read a piece of trivia that it had the biggest budget of any movie that featured mostly African American actors.
Yeah, I think that's true.
At that point, ever made.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that it's been surpassed since then with things like Black Panther and stuff like that.
Yeah, with Black Panther, I would say
obviously.
Probably. And you know what? It shows that movie is super cool. Thank you for bringing in another MCU reference.
You're welcome.
Once again. But okay, so that's those are your basics about the movie. So yeah, we can go ahead and do a recap. And I should say, we're gonna try and speed along, but there's so many montages.
Yes. So I mean, and it's hard to keep track. I texted you when I was watching it, just like from scene to scene, because every song is kind of a chance in the movie to move the plot along through montages and just...
it's really interesting the way they do the songs in this movie. Like, it's definitely, I don't know, it's kind of like a music biopic, but I think if you told me that it was a jukebox musical, I would believe you. I mean, obviously it's not because all the songs are original.
Right.
But yeah, the way that they use music throughout, it's pretty rare that the characters sing to each other. It happens.
Yes.
Once or twice, but most of the time they have a very realistic reason to already be singing.
They're performing the song. Yeah.
It's a backstage musical.
Yeah. But there are sometimes what is the song when the boys are in the street and go into the bad or whatever, step into the...
Yeah, and then I mean, the climactic and I'm telling you,
right,
that I think that starts off where they're singing to each other,
right,
but most of the time it's because they are recording a song or and the lyrics, even though they aren't direct, I mean, they are still moving the plot along.
They do have something to do with the plot.
Yeah, they're cases. Always, like, right on key.
Yeah.
I mean, not... no pun intended. They're, like... They fit thematically Absolutely. With what they're talking about.
Yeah. So the show itself actually won 6 Tony Awards. It didn't win Best Musical. I didn't look up who it lost to, but it made it so that Krieger didn't win any Tonys for it, which is sad because Tom Eyen won for the book. But they co-wrote the music, and the music didn't win, and the show didn't win, so Krieger didn't end up winning anything for it.
All I'm gonna say, and obviously there's a few standout songs. But for the most part, for me, the music is kind of forgettable.
Yes, yeah.
In fact, all freaking day, it's been driving me crazy because I've had music from the musical Hairspray. Like, specifically that You Can't Stop the Beat song. I don't know why. I guess because similar time periods.
Yeah.
And, like, American Bandstand, kind of vibes.
Totally.
I don't like that song. I mean, the song is fine. It's been in my head all day long. And when I try and recall music from Dreamgirls, nothing. Just Hairspray.
Stop the motion of the...
Exactly. Oh my God, I'm feeling like a crazy person.
This is interesting. So for the Tonys, Jennifer Holliday and what was the actress who played the actress who played Dina, Cheryl Lee Ralph. They were nominated against each other in the leading actress category, and Jennifer Holliday won.
Trying to recreate is that like a meta thing where they're
like when
trying to mimic the move,
like when Betty Davis and what's her name from All About Eve were nominated against each other.
Well, I was just thinking about like Effie and Dina going up against each other.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we had to go to Betty Davis.
Sure, but it's a similar thing because
the reference was right there.
Yes.
It was like right in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
But it's interesting that And I don't know how they do this in movies, if it's like screen time or whatever, but why Jennifer Hudson was nominated for supporting actress.
I mean, I think I don't know. To me, that's clearly a supporting actress role.
But would you say that Dina is a leading actress role?
Yeah. Really? Yes, because Dina's in it throughout.
Yeah. I guess there is kind of a break where when Jennifer Hudson isn't in it as much, but then she comes back at the end, of course.
Like Laurel, I don't know what you'd call her. I think she's more than like a featured player, mm-hmm. but I don't know that she would even like be able to qualify for a supporting actress mm-hmm. nomination.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. I really like Laurel, by the way.
Yeah, me too. They actually she had a solo that they cut for the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because she only really gets one solo when she tells Jimmy that she's going to leave him.
And they sing together on that one song, the one that Curtis didn't want to, when they wanted to change the sound. What is it called?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my, Patience.
Patience,
That one was also added for the movie. Mm-hmm. I love that song.
Same.
It's a really good song, and her voice sounds the strongest that it sounds throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. And I remember that moment, like, remarking, oh, wow, she's come a really long way mm-hmm. as a singer.
And then also Tony Award went to Clavant Derricks, who played Jimmy.
Okay.
So anyway, we can go to a recap now.
Let's go into recap, and then I'll talk about the movie awards when we're finished.
Yeah.
So we open, somewhere circa early 60s, mm-hmm. Detroit talent show. Yeah. And the first song that we hear is from a band or a girl group called the Stepsisters.
So they only called them the Unstoppable Stepsisters. So I didn't know if that was their name or if they were that's just what they referred to them as throughout.
I don't know. I pulled the track listing from the soundtrack. Yeah, so it just says on the soundtrack it's Stepsisters, yeah.
The Unstoppable Stepsisters.
But we meet Marty, played by Danny Glover, mm-hmm. backstage trying to convince these two women, who I guess are Jimmy Early's background singers, uh-huh. to not leave, to stay on tour.
It's obvious that they've been...
One of them has been fooling around mm-hmm. with Jimmy, and he's done something to upset her, and once again he's run off his background singers.
I do like that the movie opens just with cowbell.
No flutes.
No flourishing flutes. We have cowbell instead.
It opens indoors. It's weird.
But Dina, who is Beyonce, is running late because she can't leave the house until her mom falls asleep.
Right. So yeah, they see these girls run up frantically, uh-huh. and then Jamie Foxx, who plays Curtis, mm-hmm. he approaches Marty, Danny Glover's character, offers him a cigarette and asks him if he's interested in hearing the sound of tomorrow. And that's when the girls arrive in a panic. So then we cut back inside, and now it's Little Albert and the True Tones. Mm-hmm. And Dina runs in. She literally runs into Curtis. Mm-hmm. And I guess the show producer or showrunner or whatever, played by
Steve Urkel,
Jaleel White. Uh-huh. Yeah, I didn't notice him the first time I saw this movie. Fun. I don't know if you'd call that a cameo, but fun appearance from Steve. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, the Dreamettes were supposed to go on second. Mm-hmm. Curtis convinces him, let the girls go on last. Yeah. So they're officially going to go on after Tiny Joe Dixon.
Mm-hmm. So the Dreamettes and the Stepsisters have a sort of Sharks versus Jets moment backstage.
Yeah, they give each other the eye. Uh-huh. The up and down,
And so what happens here? Do the Dreamettes see that the Stepsisters are they wearing the same wig or something?
No, they just have a similar... nicer... They just have a nicer look. They've got slightly more with the times wigs.
Yeah.
They have cuter, they just look like better quality dresses.
So they have this idea to turn their wigs around.
Well, I think that Dina just wants something that can make them stand out.
Right.
And so she comes up with, let's turn our wigs around. It'll be sophisticated looking.
Right.
It's not.
No.
It doesn't look good.
So Effie decides not to.
Yeah, Effie turns it right back around. And that's after Curtis comes in and says that they look just fine.
Yeah. And so they're waiting to go on stage, and Effie sees that a man is starting to get a little bit handsy. Yeah, is starting to get a little bit handsy with Dina.
Yeah.
And she stops him.
Yeah, she shows up and says, "Excuse you." Mm-hmm. And then they're introduced, but as the Creamettes.
The Creamettes?
Yeah, like it's a...
Like the Oneaters.
Joke, yeah, exactly. So they go on stage, they sing Move as the Dreamettes. And backstage we see Curtis and Marty shaking hands over some sort of a deal.
Obviously, Effie is stealing the show. She's performing.
Right.
She's performing Boots the House Down.
Yeah.
But there's some sort of, politics involved here, and they lose to, what's
Tiny Joe.
Tiny Joe.
Tiny Joe Dixon. Yeah, Curtis says out back to the MC, bet you $5 the Dreamettes don't win. And he takes the money and says they weren't going to anyway. Yeah. Like, it had already been decided a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of that scene exactly. Like, maybe it's just foreshadowing, like, all of the payola that
right, and he
gets involved in. But I didn't totally understand, like, why...
what we're meant to believe by this interaction.
Yeah, like, why are you giving away your money?
Why are you betting against your act? Like, what's going on here?
Which they're not even really, like, his act.
Not yet. Right.
Yeah. So that's what I don't know. Anyway, we don't have to spend all day trying to figure that out. They in fact lose.
Yes.
Yeah. Tiny Joe Dixon wins, and the girls are hanging out with Cece. Cece is Effie's brother and their songwriter. He's like largely based on Smokey Robinson. And I should mention Curtis is Berry Gordy. Yeah.
And I think this is probably just to get out of any legal issues that they might have faced with this, but they deny fervently that it's based directly on anybody in particular.
Yeah, they go Dick Wolf style.
Yeah.
Like, it may look like stuff you've seen, but it's not. It's fiction.
Yeah. They say, whenever they're approached about it, they say that it was based on all of these girl groups, like an amalgamation of the girl groups at the time.
Yeah, I have notes on it. So I'll talk about this later. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. But basically, the makers of the movie did wind up issuing an apology, at least to Berry Gordy, for the way that Curtis is portrayed in the film. So I think it's been acknowledged by all parties pretty openly that, yeah, it's Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson and Diana Ross.
Yeah. So they're trying to get them to take a gig as background singers for this...
for Jimmy Early.
This philandering singer, Jimmy Early, which would be kind of a big break for them, but they don't want to be background singers. Well, Effie doesn't want to be.
Effie doesn't do backup.
Right.
Yeah. Marty, Jimmy's manager, that's the deal that he's trying to reach, I guess, with Curtis backstage, even though Curtis still doesn't, at the time, represent these girls. No. I think he just knows a good opportunity when he sees one.
He sees their talent and finds a way to weasel himself in the middle of making this deal between the Dreamettes and Jimmy Early.
He ultimately convinces Effie to just go with it. He says he'll look out for her. He'll make sure that she's not always going to be in the background. And, yeah.
We'll see if he keeps that promise.
Men. And, yeah, she goes with it. And then Laurel gives us, like, the first of one of her many, like, charming and very funny lines where she says, this industry sure has a lot of ups and downs in this business. Something to that effect. So, backstage...
well, they're trying to get Jimmy on board with them because he only works with 2 background singers, not 3.
Oh yeah, and when he sees him though,
he's like, 3 will be just fine.
Yeah. And then at the same time as he has that conversation with Marty's just trying to get him to like please stop like pursuing romantic involvement with your background singers. Mm-hmm. And then we get another really funny line from Laurel when Jimmy goes out there to meet them. He does this act where he gets down on his knees and just, acts like he's so overwhelmed by their beauty. And he takes Laurel's hand and asks, what can Jimmy Early do for you? And she's like so overcome, but... She finally lets out, like, you could teach us the song.
Charmed, I'm sure.
It's very much like charmed, I'm sure. But they at least give Laurel, like, a little bit more brain power.
Yes. But this is sort of foreshadowing their relationship to come.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So he is, like, decides that he's going to teach them the songs.
Yeah, which is... The song that, we watch them, the montage. I think this is the first of many montages.
Yeah, there's lots of, like, I call it the spinning newspaper montages. You know what I mean?
There's a couple in this movie, but yeah.
But they're singing Fake Your Way to the Top, which, before I looked at the track list, I assumed was called Round and Around. But it's not.
It's not. And we see the girls leaving home.
They're going on tour. They're on the bus.
Shout out to the JFK tapestry hanging in Dina's mom's house.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
It's in the background. She like just leaves her mom a note. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean they feature it pretty prominently. I recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
It's a great little tapestry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cece and Effie say goodbye to their dad. And then we cut to, it's montage, so just a lot of different scenes. We cut to they're on stage, and Jimmy and Laurel are making eyes at each other. Mm-hmm. And then they're on the bus.
Lots of getting on and off the bus and performing on different stages.
Yeah, but this bus scene is funny, because Jimmy wants to go sit with Laurel.
Oh, and then is this like, it seems like the bus mom or
she's
something.
She's the tour mom.
Yeah.
I think Curtis, I think says it's either his aunt or his sister maybe. I think it's his aunt though. He says his aunt is going to come on the road and make sure that like things stay above board.
Yes.
And yeah, she stops him.
Yeah, she's like, that's your part of the bus, that's their part of the bus.
Yeah, she says, this is Hollywood, and that's Harlem.
Right. That's right.
And you're not welcome in Hollywood. Yeah, and he just looks shocked. Like, no one has talked to him that way in a very long time.
Yeah, he doesn't get told no very often, but he takes
Great
it.
Acting from Eddie Murphy.
But then eventually... Laurel is the one who sneaks up to Jimmy when everyone is asleep.
Yeah, or back. It's always the back of the bus.
Yeah.
She goes to the back of the bus and they start fooling around. But it ends with her asking, Mr. Jimmy Early, aren't you married?
He's like, yeah, but...
Everybody knows I'm married. Yeah. Come on. And then she said, well, then you can take your married hands off of me. Mm-hmm.
And he at this point, doesn't push it. She goes back to her part of the bus.
But he is undeterred.
Yes.
Yeah. So then we're at the jazz club.
Yes.
Montage over at the jazz club.
And is this when Jimmy and Marty are talking about wanting a new sound?
This is when Dina and Effie are talking about boys.
Oh, okay.
And Dina says Effie needs to act like more reserved and quiet and shy because men like a timid girl. And Effie's like, or no, because boys like a timid girl. And Effie's like, well, I don't want a boy. Yeah.
Maybe that's not my point.
Yeah. And then Curtis comes over and I don't know, maybe they're a little tipsy and Effie asks, do you cheat like Mr. Jimmy Early cheats? And then he says he's divorced and anyways, that's when Effie and Curtis really start flirting with each other.
Yeah, they start their flirtation there.
Yeah, she invites him to sit down with them, but first he has to go over and talk to Marty and Jimmy.
Yes. And this is when they're talking about wanting a new sound. Sorry, I missed that note about Effie and Dina's conversation with Curtis.
Right. Yeah, so Curtis introduces Cece to Marty and Jimmy, but Jimmy pretty much rejects him.
Yes. Cece decides that he's going to play this song with the girls, just kind of like, oops, we're playing it while you're in the room.
Yeah, and so they hear it, they love it, and in the very next scene, Jimmy's recording it.
Yeah, and I feel like, Curtis's whole thing as a songwriter is like, keep it simple, stupid, like...
Kiss.
It's just like writing simple hooks and stuff, which hasn't... That's not what Jimmy's thing has been.
Every time you say, keep it simple, stupid, you should end it with a...
Keep it simple, stupid.
The song is Cadillac Car.
Yes.
Cadillac Car.
Yes.
I'm trying to enunciate more. So then we get another montage.
And this is like a climbing the charts montage.
Yeah, it starts to get radio play. It looks like they're handing out a single with every car that they sell at the dealership. It moves up to number 38. But then,
the
American Bandstand.
Yeah, this little white group is covering it in a very
oh my god, it's
whitewashed
awful.
way. Yeah.
It's so boring. It's so slow.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense for the. I mean, they're like doing like a beach surfer vibe.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't.
The song that they're singing is not a surf rock song.
No.
It's just super duper boring. Cece pulls into the dealership and asks Curtis, what is this?
What can we do?
What's going on? And I think that's when we step into the bad side.
Yes.
And we go straight into another montage.
Yes. So it was hard for me to figure out exactly what was going on here. It seems like they're selling all the cars and they're using the money to like gamble and make more money. And I think that what's going on is Curtis's sort of like payola scheme, like paying radio stations basically to play his songs.
At first, I thought maybe they're gambling the profits from the car sales. I think they're just trying to show that they're either going through illegal sources or there's like some form of money laundering or they're dealing with the mob or it's just like something shady is happening. I think that's all the scene is trying to establish.
It's not exactly clear what is going on. Like,
because they don't seem like...
Why is selling all the cars on the lot going to help with the... I don't understand.
Well, I think selling the cars, like, that aspect is legit.
Uh-huh.
And then the gambling, it's obviously under the table. They're not going to casinos.
Right. But they're like betting on fights and
but I wasn't sure like if they were even betting on the fights rather than like maybe they were being the bank to get a cut of something.
Right.
Because it didn't seem like Curtis to be that loose.
Right.
With the money that was clearly so important to them.
Right. No matter what they've got here is a sort of payola scheme. They've raised money and they're using that money to pay radio stations to play their songs.
Yeah.
And so with this, and at the conclusion of this montage, Step Into the Bad Side has gone number one.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next scene, that's when we hear MLK's "I Have a Dream" speech delivered in Detroit.
And there is a record of it.
Right. There was actually a record of it that I think Motown put out. But yeah, so Curtis has decided to cut it on an LP. Or, I don't know what you call it, an LP.
I don't know.
Whatever, a vinyl.
Yeah.
And Effie storms in and...
I thought she was serious at first. I was like, what? She is feigning outrage that
he would give
this
full-length album. Like, you're supporting these amateurs over your established acts. She says, like, he's not even a singer. But of course, she's just kidding around, and she says that Curtis is a great man for putting the record out.
Right.
That's when we go to "Love You I Do," and this is another song that was added for the movie.
So is there a montage here showing Curtis is having little moments with both Dina and Effie?
Yeah, so the first thing in the montage is we see Curtis hiring a new secretary, of course, after she pops off all of her nails.
Right.
But we see him hire Michelle, who will be important later. And then we cut to, the girls are sort of getting ready, and Curtis sees Dina in a new dress, and she does look phenomenal, but they sort of make eyes at each other, and it's clear that something is going on.
Yes.
And then...
but eventually Effie is singing this song directly at Curtis.
But he still says that... it's not ready.
Right. And they do have some... This is the first, time that you see them kissing. They have some...
Oh, yeah, they kiss on the lips.
Yeah, they have a couple of little small mouth kisses.
Yeah, it's, this is the scene where it becomes clear that they're definitely together. But nevertheless, he says the song is too light. But he promises... you won't always be back up. We'll find you something.
Yeah.
Just trust me. Basically.
So this is when I think Curtis has the idea to break into white markets and play what are traditionally white venues. And he's pitching this idea to Marty, who is against it. Yeah,
Marty's been out of town, and he feels like Curtis is just sort of taken over. He's been canceling dates. Curtis is trying to convince Marty that Jimmy is good enough to play, I think it's the Bareilles in Miami. Marty doesn't believe that Jimmy's ever going to get booked there. Curtis says, in fact, he has an audition. And more or less, it just becomes apparent that Marty and Curtis have different ways of managing. As they're arguing over who gets to call the shots, I think that's when Jimmy...
sides with Curtis.
Yeah, isn't that when Jimmy comes in? And, I mean, he says he wants to work with both of them, essentially. But, of course, Jimmy's also not going to turn down an opportunity like the one that Curtis has come up with. But Marty's not buying it. He says, you can't have it all.
Yeah.
And Marty walks out, and that's basically the last we see of him for a while.
Right, until, way later on.
Yeah. But in the next scene, Jimmy is, in fact...
They're playing the venue in Miami Beach. Which I think is, you said the Bareilles? Yeah.
We get, some light racism. Just some, not light, but casual racism. From the MC comic guy. And
oh, yes.
Yeah. And then...
making a lot of race jokes.
Yeah.
So he ends up performing I Want You, Baby.
Yeah. And we also see Curtis talking to a talent scout from American Bandstand.
Right.
And then we go into another montage.
We have another montage. I Want You, Baby. It's obvious that at this point, that Laurel and Jimmy have started to
hook up.
Do it.
Yeah. They're having sex.
And during this performance in Miami, he starts to, somewhere midway through the song, he starts to get a little bit more
he just
suggestive
gets really
physically.
Into it.
Yes.
He gets really into it, which the white people find very offensive.
Yes. A little more, his movements become a little more pelvic.
It's very alarming.
Yes. And like a couple like gets up and leaves.
He gyrated at me.
Well, he was like, he's like pointing at this lady in the front row.
Yeah,
like,
I
mean, which...
It's probably nothing that Elvis...
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it shouldn't be objectionable.
No, of course not.
He's just interacting with the audience. But they're like, oh no, he's telling this white lady that he wants her, and so they leave.
Yeah. So backstage after the show, Laurel is saying how she's a woman now. She's 18. She's
lost her virginity to Jimmy.
I wouldn't say it that way because who cares?
Who cares about that? But she's at this point I was like, she's only 18?
I know.
Like,
but they did it.
They did it.
And Effie comes in and she supports Laurel. She's like, yeah, she loves Jimmy the way I love Curtis.
I mean, and you know what? That is Laurel's prerogative.
So, yeah, I mean, the girls couldn't be... they're doing well. They're doing very well in this moment. And then Curtis comes in and says that...
It's time.
They're breaking out on their own, and they couldn't be happier.
Yes.
Until
it's revealed that they want, or Curtis wants, Dina to be the lead singer.
Oy vey. Yeah, at first Dina isn't fully on board. At first, I mean, she's mostly quiet, but she does, speak up and say, like, she doesn't want to be the lead.
She's like, I'm not as good.
Much better
I'm
singer.
not as good as Effie.
Yeah. Nobody disagrees with that, and that's when it becomes very apparent that this is about appearances.
Yes.
I think the real blow is when Cece comes in and backs up Curtis.
Yeah, and well, Effie sings a little line. I don't know if it's a full song, but it's "What About Me." But Cece comes in and he's convincing her that the opportunity is bigger than just her.
And I mean, okay, so like this is the first moment where we get, I guess, like major diva Effie. But I feel like her reaction in this scene is totally. It tracks.
It's like, and it's warranted, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
She was the lead singer of this group and always had been.
Yeah, she does have the stronger vocals. It is because Dina is just like cuter and more petite,
and has a more quote unquote mainstream voice
that the kids. Well, yeah, but I think for me, it's really about the fact that, like, the kids are watching people on TV these days.
Right.
And it's really just about the fact that Dina is conventionally thin and pretty.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's all it really, really boils down to.
Yes.
But yeah, I think Cece convinces her to go along with it,
and convinces her to see it in what he views as the bigger picture of this.
Right, like think about the group, not just about Effie.
And so they all convince her by singing "We Are Family."
Yeah,
the song.
And I mean, like not that song, but not the "We Are Family."
What about it?
I mean, it's like. I don't want to sing right now.
Yeah.
It's not like the Diana Ross song. It's just family.
Yeah. But the line is "We Are Family."
So we go into like another, it's not really so much of a montage, but we go into family. And we see the dreams like, because Curtis mentioned they're not going to be the Dreamettes anymore.
They're going to be the Dreams.
They're just going to be the Dreams because they're women. And Laurel's like, see, I told you. And the Dreams debut with their new wigs and their new dresses and their new choreography.
At
this
the
is
Crystal
just like
Room.
a little shout out, though. Their choreography by Jolly Jenkins is the name that they say, and that was a direct reference to Charlie Atkins, who was the stage choreographer for the Supremes. Yeah, just like a fun little. But fun,
it's not based on them at all.
And then we go into Dreamgirls by the Dreams.
Right, which is their debut song as the Dreams, is the what would you call this? Eponymous song.
Because it's not titular.
Right.
I mean, the name of the song is almost titular. The name of the song is Dreamgirls.
Yes.
Wait, I mean, that is the name of the movie.
Yeah.
So it is titular.
Is it titular or eponymous? I don't know. It is
both.
So this is where I wrote down, is Beyonce too good a singer for this role? I mean, obviously she's great in it, but anyway, but even Dina's mom in the audience says that she never thought that Dina had a great voice.
Well, I mean, I think comparatively to Effie. She also remarks that Curtis is talking about her like she's a commodity.
Well, yeah,
like a product.
He's like, she has quality.
Yeah, she says, you talk about my daughter like she's a product. And his response is, oh, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Let's go with that.
So here we have another montage.
This is montage 44.
Where it's another spinning newspaper montage. They're going number 1.
Yeah, their single makes it all the way to the top. The Dreamgirls single.
We've got magazine covers. You got Time, Life, or whatever. They travel to Europe.
They get a world tour.
Yeah. And we also cut to Jimmy.
Yeah.
Who is going down a drug road. He's doing some coke.
Doing a little bit of below.
And then we get some
like a press conference. Where Curtis puts the spotlight on Dina. It's like the first sort of instance where he keeps the other 2 girls in the background and says, let's bring up Miss Dina Jones.
And this was...
I think he calls her Miss Jones, which is another thing that happened with Diana.
Yeah, both of these things are things that are direct references to things that happen with the Supremes.
Yeah.
Diana Ross was given I don't want to say orders, but...
She was coached to be the primary...
spokesperson during press conferences.
To be the person that would speak up. Yeah,
and
exactly.
And
spokesperson is what they call them.
Yeah, and to be called Miss Ross.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have a little bit of a context shot of they're in the middle of the Detroit riots.
Yeah, we get some news footage of that, and then we cut to them recording the song Heavy. Or is it called Heavy? I couldn't tell.
I wrote down Heavy.
But yeah, they're recording that song while the riots are going on, which is something, again, that they pulled from real life. Because Motown Records did stay somewhat operational during the riots in 1967.
And I'm pretty sure, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I think it was probably an attempt to distance themselves from the narrative of it being specifically about Motown or specifically about Supremes, that in the stage show they are based in Chicago.
Yeah, that's true. And then they switched it.
They switched it back to Detroit for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Effie is feeling, rightfully snubbed. So they're in the studio, and she just keeps singing too loudly.
Yeah, to the point where, Curtis comes in. Dina suggests, why don't we take a break? And he alludes to the fact that the album is already a month late.
Yeah.
So they have to push through, and he very sweetly, very manipulatively asks, come on, let's go ahead and finish it. But Effie is watching the way he talks with Dina.
Right. So this is, has double layers, which is, first of all, that Dina's getting all of the attention from the world for being the lead singer, and she's also getting all of the attention from Curtis, who
is still with Effie.
Right.
Yeah. Effie can tell that there's something going on. So on the next take, she just sings even louder, storms off midway through. And then when Curtis chases after her, she says loud enough for everyone to hear, like, we all know that you're sleeping with her.
Yeah.
She runs outside, and that's when we see their riots actively going on while they're recording. And then she just says something like, I don't feel so well, which is the first sign that, like, something is up with Effie.
Yes.
They don't make a big deal of it, but it's clear that there is something going on with Effie. And then
so we cut to, like, rehearsals for their New Year's Eve performance, and Laurel and Dina are practicing without Effie, and she is late because she has been at the doctor for something.
Well, what could it be? This is another trope. It's like almost as bad, or maybe equally as bad, as like if it's a movie pre like 1920 or 30.
If somebody coughs, they have TB.
If a woman goes to the doctor in the 1960s, she's pregnant.
Yes. Or like yes. I guess this doesn't happen in this movie, but like if a woman throws up in a movie, she's definitely pregnant.
Yeah, I feel like that's like more modern today.
Yeah.
Like if she goes to a doctor and it's like pre-80s.
Yeah.
Pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah. Today, if she throws up,
definitely pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes. So she shows up late to this rehearsal for their New Year's Eve performance.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to talk her down. They're like, no, you should just, if you don't feel well, you should just, take, they know that she's been replaced. They haven't told her yet. And, this is kind of all happening. And that's when Michelle walks out on stage in her costume.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yikes. They go into It's All Over. Mm-hmm. And this is where Effie starts, like, this is the song we were talking about earlier, where it's one of the few songs where, like, they sing at each other.
Yes.
And Effie basically just goes after everybody.
Yeah.
It's definitely a quote-unquote diva moment, and she maybe unfairly throws a few jabs. But
she
again,
also,
her reaction is pretty reasonable.
And
in
also,
my opinion.
she knows that she's pregnant with Curtis's baby, and nobody else knows that at this point. And obviously, she's feeling emotional about that. It makes sense.
And once she had figured out what had happened, like, that's why she came back and said, like, I'm feeling much better now. Because now she knows what's going on, and she feels like, okay, I'll just show back up. We'll do the show.
Yeah.
I'll tell Curtis. Everything's going to work out. Mm-hmm. And then the exact opposite happens. Like, her world comes crashing down in that moment when she sees she's been replaced.
Yeah. And this is when we come to the big number.
Right.
Which is, and I'm telling you, I'm not going.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything to really say about it.
It's a great performance.
Yeah, it's a total showstopper.
We've all heard it. We've all seen it. It's incredible.
It really is like Jennifer Hudson's song.
Yes.
I know she didn't. I know it was Jennifer Holliday's at first, but it's Jennifer Hudson's.
Yeah. And this is, it's one of those things where she won the Oscar for this song. Kind of like how Anne Hathaway won the Oscar for I Dreamed a Dream,
I think that's true to a certain extent. Of course, like, Jennifer Hudson has way more screen time than Anne Hathaway had in Les Mis. Like, Anne Hathaway's only on screen for 13 minutes in Les Mis.
But...
And I do think that there's some, like, solid acting from Jennifer Hudson, especially when you consider this is her first role. This is her first big thing ever.
But I don't think that the performance itself was Oscar-worthy without this... the performance of this song.
It may not have been. I think I'm willing to give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, did it seem to you that the costuming in this seemed kind of 2006-ish.
Oh, I loved the costuming.
I mean, for the most part, I really liked it. But, as far as, like, her, like, little tweed jacket and her, like, little ballet flats, and there were a couple of things where I'm like, I do like the costuming, but there are a couple of things where I was like, it's obvious that this was costumed with a 2006 lens.
Well, I mean, that's true. They did talk about that.
Oh, really?
But also, let me just tell you that in the second iteration of this movie, the one we saw is the third. In the second version that almost came to be, they were going to have Joel Schumacher direct it. So if you want to talk about weird costume choices, just be glad
that we didn't have the goth stylings of Joel Schumacher.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I think the costumer's name was, I think it's Sharon Davis, but I didn't write it down and I'm not going to look it up. So I could be wrong about that, but she was nominated for an Oscar for it. Okay. And no, they did talk about how they didn't want it to look too authentic 60s, too authentic 70s, because they didn't want audiences to be distracted.
They didn't want it to look costumey.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that makes sense then that it was a choice.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a good job. I really liked it. I was watching it, and I don't know, there were some really good outfits.
Sure.
Just a lot of pieces that I eyed.
So, the group Sans Effie now have this, they have a big break in Vegas at Caesar's Palace.
Yes.
Without Effie, and it's like a big production. They've got pyrotechnics.
Yeah, this is Love Me Baby. Mm-hmm. So, it's the opening of Act 2.
And
they're
then
doing Love Me Baby. Or no, that's the Love Me Baby is the end of Act 1. And then Act 2 opens up with I'm Somebody.
I'm Somebody, yes. Yeah. 6 years have passed.
Exactly.
Dina and Curtis are married.
Yeah, so, Dina's watching, we get our recap of the past, what did you say, 6 years?
At this point, yeah. I think like another 3 years pass during this portion, but yeah, at this one it's 6 years.
Yeah, we're watching a show, it's basically the equivalency of like a Behind the Music, produced, of course, by Curtis. Mm-hmm. Dina's watching the screener. Mm-hmm. And we establish, yes, like you said, it's been 6 years, but notably on this TV story of their lives, they've completely rewritten the story to exclude Effie.
It says
they make
Michelle,
it seem like
Michelle has been with them since the beginning.
Exactly. And we like you said, we see that she got married to Curtis, and she does look genuinely like happy when she reminisces over that moment, when they show the wedding footage. It looks like they're really in love.
But that kind of comes to a halt when she sees that he's released information that she is doing this Cleopatra movie that she hasn't necessarily agreed to do. Right?
Yeah, he's a lot more excited about it than she is. And this goes hand in hand with the movie Mahogany, which was like a Motown-produced movie. I think like Barry Gordy directed it, actually.
Yeah.
And it starred Diana Ross, and, the story goes she really didn't want to do it. She wasn't super interested in it. Mm-hmm. I don't think it did well commercially or critically. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Oh, and then also in the montage, though, I think it's or not the montage,
the reel.
Yeah. I think it's important to note they've also established that Curtis's Rainbow Records has blown up.
It's an empire at this point. Yes. He's
like the most successful, black producer in America. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is this when they show like the Jackson 5 knockoff, or is that later?
No, I think there is a brief clip of the Jackson 5 knockoff.
What was their name?
Campbell Collection.
The Campbell Collection.
Or Connection?
Campbell Connection, I think, yes.
I've got it written down later.
Yeah.
We also see that she lives in a huge mansion.
And he says this really gross line to her. I think she says, like, I'm not 16 anymore. And he says, well, you'll always be 16 to me.
Oh, yeah. That's in, like, yeah. So we cut to the offices.
Yeah.
And there's an exec from Paramount, or an exec for the late. It doesn't matter. There's an executive guy. Mm-hmm. And he's informing Curtis Paramount isn't going to do the movie. They're not interested anymore. Mm-hmm. And then a little bit later on, I mean, they talk about how, how are we going to fund these movies anyway? Mm-hmm. But Curtis is adamant that they're going to have Cleopatra starring his wife, Dina Jones.
Miss Jones.
They come up with a plan to do, like, the anniversary special. Mm-hmm. And they're going to use the profits from that to fund as many movies as they want to make.
Yeah.
And then, he goes and meets up with Dina in his office. And that's when she tells him that she's not, like, particularly on board with the Cleopatra movie.
She never really has said no.
Yeah, she doesn't, like, you're right. She doesn't, like, come out and just, like, flatly say no.
But, it's obvious that she's not really...
She says the line about, like, it would be ridiculous of me to play a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And, that's when he, like you had said earlier.
Gross.
Yeah.
He'll always be 16 to me.
Yeah. And he sings...
When I First Saw You.
Yeah.
Yes.
16. Which also, though, I don't know, something I couldn't really get over in this scene and this song is how, like, once again, it just completely rewrites history and excludes Effie. Mm-hmm. Because obviously the first time he saw her, I mean, maybe all of that was true, but if it was, I mean, shit, he spent, 6 or 7 years with Effie?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, is he being truthful here, or is he just telling her what he thinks is going to appease her in this moment?
Or is he saying, like, he never really saw her until after, which I doubt, because as has been established already, there's a lot of scenes where they're making eyes at each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
And during this, I think we have another montage of her, like, photo shoots and stuff, which is kind of funny.
84 now.
84 montages. But yeah, so there's like a montage of her, like, being a star, doing her, like, photo shoots and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's just like him watching her.
Yeah.
Like, leering at her.
Yeah.
During the photo shoot. And at one point he even, like, goes over to help, like, pose her.
Yeah. And a number of these photos are hung up in their house.
Yeah, and in their bedroom, it looks like a whole wall is like a photo print mural of her. I don't know. I didn't like this scene. I didn't think it was romantic.
No.
At all.
And
like,
I don't know
for
if
me,
it's...
it was kind of creepy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, but the way Oprah talked about it made me think that she thought it was sweet. And I was like, oh, if Oprah thinks it's sweet, did I get it wrong?
Yeah. So, Dina wants a baby.
Oh, yeah, that whole scene basically just ends with her saying, like, just let me give you a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that I don't know if it explains this or not, but I don't think that he wants, just basically for the sake of her career.
But then we immediately cut to his baby.
Oh, yes.
Like, the very next shot is of Magic.
Yes.
While she's waiting, like, okay, so Effie has gone to, like, a welfare office,
yeah, it's like an unemployment
basically.
Office or something, yeah.
And we immediately cut to Magic sitting there waiting on her mom.
Yeah.
Reading a book. Or not reading a book.
And Effie is trying to apply for... whether
just
it's unemployment
sort of
or something, and they're like, well, have you applied for a job? And she's like, well, I'm not qualified for anything because I'm a singer.
Yeah.
Basically.
And she says that there's no dad around to help them out. So then we go to Cece playing a new song for Jimmy, and that's the song Patience.
It's a good song.
It's a really good song. It's one of the songs that was added for the movie. When we talked about earlier, I was saying it's probably Laurel's strongest vocal performance. She just sounds like a lot deeper and richer. And yeah, I mean, she sounds great. It's a good song. It's one of my favorite songs.
Same, yeah.
And we go into Montage 98.
Yes. But this is, so it's Christmas time, and it's also obvious, like, everyone is kind of coupled off at this point.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy is with Laurel. I mean, he's still married, but he has this still has this relationship with Laurel, and it seems like, and I think Cece and Michelle are together, is what it seems like.
Yeah, it looks to be.
Yeah, they don't ever say that explicitly.
But they're in the studio together.
Right. And so it's Christmas time, they're doing Patience. I think, this is another montage, and Cece has sent Effie money that she's
rejected.
She's too proud to take.
And then at the beginning, we also see Effie. She's on the bus looking around at Detroit. It's still, at least their part of town is still pretty much destroyed. It never got rebuilt after the riots. And even the dealership has been boarded up by now. Just sort of showing, the difference in where she's living and what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And, but yeah, they're at the Christmas party. All the couples are hanging out together. And they're listening to Patience.
Yes.
Curtis doesn't like it.
No. He says that it's a message song, and he doesn't think that those sell very well.
And Laurel, and it's either Laurel or Michelle. I think it's Laurel. It's it's a message song, and it's the truth.
Yeah.
People are angry. I'm angry. My brother's in Vietnam. I mean, this is how people feel.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear it. He says, don't worry, we'll come up with new material for you.
We cut to a little scene in between here of... It's funny how it's just with these montages, there's quick scene jumps, but technically we're still in this Christmas scene, but it jumps to a scene real quickly of Marty has come to see Effie.
Oh, okay.
But then we come back to Curtis, who says he doesn't want to do a message song.
Because before we're done with the party, basically Jimmy runs everybody off because he's going to do some heroin.
Yeah, well, he pulls out his little baggie, and you kind of assume it's coke again until he pulls out some foil or something, and it's okay, well, this has gone
he starts
to another
rolling up his sleeve.
Yeah, it goes to another level. So everyone leaves.
But yeah, back in Detroit, Marty is talking to this guy, Max Washington, who's a club owner.
Yes. So, yeah, Marty has gone to see Effie and sort of wants to represent her now.
Yeah.
He's trying to get her some gigs. And he sort of tells... It's one of those things where he tells Effie that they want her, and he tells the club that she's desperate for work. So both of them think that they're auditioning for each other, kind of.
Yeah.
So she's kind of being...
she's a little difficult.
Yeah, she's being a little bit difficult, and I think Marty tells her that you've always wanted all of the privileges with none of the responsibilities. Yeah,
he knows just how to push her.
Yeah. And she starts singing this song, which is really great, I'm Changing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, again, this is one of those moments where she has a plausible reason to be singing. She doesn't just break out in song, but she's also singing exactly what the character is going through, what the audience needs to know about the character.
Right. It is the song that she's performing on the stage, but it also directly relates to her character's experience.
Right. And so as she's performing... or not as she's performing, but I guess after the performance, or during, we fast forward to her in front of an audience.
Yeah, she got the job.
Yeah. And then after the song, we cut to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in Los Angeles, California. For the Rainbow Records 10th anniversary special, The Sound of Tomorrow. That's a callback to earlier in the film. When Curtis approached Marty and said, "Hey, you want to hear The Sound of Tomorrow?"
He's branded his idea.
Yeah. And so the Campbell Connection. The Jackson 5.
Yeah.
The not so subtle reference.
So, and Laurel is trying to get Jimmy to tell his wife about them, which, of course, he says he's going to do, but, you know.
Yeah. So, basically, he also reveals that his wife is, in fact, there.
Yeah.
Melba.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, like, it's not even so much the fact that he's still with his wife. It's obviously a problem for Laurel.
Right.
But when she finds out that Melba is there, that's when he's gone too far.
Yeah.
Like, now she's in her world, and that is not okay.
Yeah. So now Jimmy is performing I Meant You No Harm.
Oh, my God. When he goes into...
Jimmy's rap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Jimmy's Rap on the soundtrack, but it's really more of a funk.
Yeah.
A funk performance.
So he's kind of playing this like low key song, and he stops them in the middle of it and gets the band to play this funky beat.
It's so good. It's so good. Eddie Murphy is so good. The song is so good. I really can't get enough of Eddie Murphy in this movie.
Yeah.
Until he takes it, like, just a little bit too far. Like, I don't know. I feel like surely this must
fun.
be... It's fun till it's not.
Right. It's fun until he takes his pants off.
I didn't even, like, totally understand, like, why... I guess just because he's, like, super high on heroin and feels like it would be fun to take his pants off.
Yeah.
Like,
And he says, Jimmy's got soul.
I didn't have time to look it up, but I was thinking, like, that's just such a weird thing.
Like a specific thing to not be based on something real.
It surely must be something real. Yeah, I don't know. So, if anybody knows, like, Instagram us or something.
So, this is the last straw for Curtis.
Oh, yeah, Curtis is pissed.
Yeah.
Even though the crowd is loving it.
Yeah. And it's not like this is the Rainbow Records review. I mean, it's not a crowd that's going to be like super offended.
This isn't the crowd. Yeah, this isn't the crowd of years earlier.
Right, and it's not
Miami.
Yeah, it's not the Miami white crowd, you know.
No, they're living it up.
Yeah.
This crowd, they're into it. But yeah, Curtis says he's made a fool of himself. He says it's over.
Jimmy thought it was great.
And then Laurel leaves him.
Yeah, she says, Laurel loves Jimmy, but Laurel and Jimmy are through.
Right. And he turns around and sees Melba there, and it's unclear how much Melba has witnessed, how long, but we don't really go back to it.
Right, but you don't know how long she's been standing there.
Yeah, but, I mean, it doesn't matter, because we never see Melba again. Then we go, so Laurel, she walks away because, I mean, she is walking away from him, but also she, like, has to go perform on stage.
And they sing, is this like a reprise
Family.
of We Are Family?
Yeah. And backstage during that song, Jimmy is being escorted out by security. And then I think this was director's cut only, which I watched.
Oh, you watched the director's cut?
I did. Okay. It's really not much. They just have, like, extended musical numbers. It's only 10 minutes longer.
Okay.
But there is a song called Jimmy Don't Crawl. And it's really only, like, 2 lines that Jimmy sings. But basically, the sound on stage cuts out. We go to, like, Jimmy's inner monologue. And he sings these couple of lines of Jimmy Don't Crawl. Before we cut to Dina meeting with the movie executives.
Right, who is John Lithgow and John Krasinski. Yes.
Okay, look, I've been thinking a lot about John Krasinski. and Emily Blunt. And I do like them. I've like kind of felt bad ever since I said that Stanley Tucci and her sister are cooler.
I mean,
it's probably true. But still, like, I like Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. I do.
I think they're charming. I think they're fine.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever done anything.
They get into prank wars with Jimmy Kimmel. Looks fun.
I don't think they've ever done anything that's been, like, explicitly bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to watch Jack Ryan.
No.
But, like, good for them. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Jack Ryan is that it's just, like, another show about, like, Middle Eastern terrorists, and it's, whatever. We don't have to go there.
I am legit excited for A Quiet Place, too.
Okay.
But mostly because of Cillian Murphy.
Oh.
But also, I mean, the first one, it's good. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Watch it. Form your own opinions.
Okay. So they're talking
yeah.
to...
John Krasinski's in it.
Yes. Then they play Jerry and Sam, who are...
Sam is the screenwriter.
Yeah.
And then John, like, more importantly than John Krasinski is John Lithgow.
Yeah.
I love John Lithgow. Anything he does.
But they're pitching this role to Dina, which...
That's gritty.
Yeah, it would be, like, more of a departure for her, more of a...
It apparently involves some sexual themes.
Mm-hmm. But she thinks that this kind of role, she'll be taken more seriously as an actress than, whatever the Cleopatra movie was going to be.
Right. And she makes it clear that there's a reason why Curtis isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
That she is purposefully chosen not to involve him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then... I just wrote down Cece and Curtis are fighting. I didn't write down what it was about. Do you remember what this is about?
So, at the Rainbow offices, they're listening to a new single.
Mm-hmm.
And Cece is unhappy with the edit.
Yes.
I mean, he wrote the song, and he's saying that Curtis has taken out all of the soul.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he's basically... He's basically had enough, and he's not willing to tolerate disco, which is the direction that Curtis is very clearly headed in.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Is this when...
He's walking out when Laurel comes in screaming.
Yes. And you see, and there's like a number of people having breakdowns in the offices because the news has come in.
That Jimmy has died.
Yes, Jimmy has overdosed on heroin.
Yeah, which is a huge bummer. He was found in a hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something that is all too frequent, even today.
So Cece goes to see Effie at her apartment, and...
Well, and I'll just say, like, before that, like, Curtis... and Cece stop fighting momentarily.
Sure, yeah.
But even after the news, they're watching together. They're all having a drink together. Mm-hmm. Even after the news, Cece is still adamant that he's walking away.
Yeah.
And then Curtis tries to stop Michelle. And Michelle, I mean, I don't think it's even so much in solidarity. She says she's quitting too.
Yeah.
I mean, it is in solidarity, but it's also like for herself.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, in solidarity, because it's assumed that she and Cece are together.
Yeah, they're definitely together. But yeah, Cece goes to Detroit for the wake.
Yes.
We cut to Effie is explaining to Magic what a wake is.
Yeah.
And then Magic opens the door and sees Cece, whom she's never met before.
Yeah, and he says, "I'm your uncle," right?
He doesn't, I don't think so. Like, as soon as Effie sees him, she turns around.
She runs away.
And then Magic asks, who was that? To her grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
And the grandfather says that it was your uncle.
That's what it is. Yeah.
At the wake is when we get the performance from Loretta Devine, the original Laurel.
Singing I Miss You.
I miss you, old friend.
Mm-hmm.
And during that song, Cece approaches Effie and tries to apologize. He basically just says, I was young, and I made a huge mistake, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he promises to, well, he says he wants to keep his old promise.
Yeah.
Which was to write her a hit song.
Yeah. And so he wants to pitch her this song, which is One Night Only, which is sort of, it's a really beautiful, slow, brooding song in this iteration.
Yeah, there's another song that I think is like a director's cut song. It's just called Effie Sing My Song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. So yeah, then the One Night Only montage.
And it's doing, fairly well locally. You get a little montage of it doing pretty well.
Did you mention how they show Jimmy, being laid to rest in the ground? And there's like a surprisingly small crowd there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I assume it's just because the weather was awful and it was in Detroit.
Yeah.
But it was like a very small crowd. Mm-hmm. He seemed to be
pretty big star.
Pretty big, yeah. Anyways, yeah. We see that song getting some play on the radio stations. Mm-hmm. And then there's like, she's performing it at the club and CC sees these guys walk in that I guess they're like label executives or I don't, it's unclear who they are, but they look unfriendly.
Yes.
They don't look pleasant.
Mm-hmm. So after this is when, word has gotten back to Curtis.
Yeah, we cut to Wayne playing the song for Curtis.
Yes. And they're trying to figure out a way to, like, stop this from happening because Cece is still under contract with them. They're like, since he's under contract with us, we own whatever he writes. So we have, inherent royalties and are able to steal this song if we want to.
Yeah, and Wayne pushes back. He's like, look, this is Effie's big break.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, you gotta back off.
And this is when Curtis...
This is business.
This is when Curtis becomes, like, absolutely
true
villainous.
Villain.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's business. It's not personal.
Yes.
So.
But this is his, basically his foray into disco.
Yeah, and the next scene we see Miss Jones and the Dreams.
Yeah.
Singing the disco version of the song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is good too.
It is good. I really love. This is like when we get really big Diana Ross vibes.
Yes.
The hair,
and
the
this
jumpsuit,
is one of like.
It's beautiful. It's all beautiful.
When you talk about like the songs from this musical not being super memorable, this is not one of them. This one is a little earworm.
Yeah, no, agreed. Totally. Yeah. Totally. So back at home, Dina and Curtis are having dinner. Mm-hmm. They're talking about Cleopatra.
Mm-hmm. And he makes it known that he knows about her meeting with John Krasinski and John Lithgow. Yeah.
Who wouldn't? Those are three standout people. And yeah, he's just a dick. This whole conversation.
He's just getting more and more.
He's like, you can't do anything without my approval, not contractually.
And he just is like really just making jabs, like saying things that he knows intentionally will hurt her. Yeah. He says that he chose her to sing lead because her voice has no personality.
Ouch.
It's...
And then at the very end, he says, I forgive you.
Ugh,
which
gross.
is just like, ooh.
But basically, he's telling her that he has her trapped in a contract,
But then we go into the song Listen.
Which, whoo.
So good.
So good.
Yeah, this is the one that I couldn't believe wasn't in the original because it is so good. Yeah. It's the song where Beyonce gets to sing like Beyonce.
It's so good.
Yeah, it really is an incredibly strong musical number. Mm-hmm. And we get the next montage.
Yeah, there's montages of her sort of coming to terms with the fact that her relationship with Curtis is gonna end.
Yeah. We also see that Curtis got his movie made. Mm-hmm. Then we see Dina, because she's coming to terms with the fact that she and Curtis are done. She's going through his things, and it's not really totally clear in this moment, but it becomes clear what she's doing, which is gathering dirt on him to send to Effie, because she finds out that they stole the song.
Yeah, she finds the little 45.
The single, yeah. She finds out they
Effie's
stole
version.
it. She calls her crying.
Yeah.
And then she collects all this stuff and sends it directly to Effie.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this stuff is the evidence against Curtis.
Right. And so Marty and Cece are in on this too, and they're going to the feds with the information with their lawyers.
Or they threaten to.
Right, yes.
Yeah. They say if you don't make this right, that's what's going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is all about, the payola operation and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's other allegations, too, like using mob money and all this other stuff. While they're in that meeting, Dina is talking with Effie. Effie reveals that she has a kid.
And she's like, she's going to be 9.
So
which
it's
becomes
obvious.
Clear to Dina whose child it is. Right.
But says Curtis doesn't know. Curtis comes in, is again total dick.
Yeah.
And, but she gets sort of the last laugh. He says, you haven't changed, in a mean way.
Yeah.
And she says, neither of you, except you could stand to lose a few pounds.
Ooh.
Which is a callback to something awful he had said to her before. Mm-hmm. So I think after this, we're getting pretty close to the end.
Yeah. So because of the leverage that they get with these with all this evidence, they are able to release Effie's version of One Night Only nationwide.
Yes.
And Dina has decided to officially leave Curtis.
Yeah.
He comes home, and it's obvious that she's packing, and her mom shows up to pick her up. Yeah. And they leave.
And then we get to the farewell performance.
Dina and the Dreams are having their farewell performance.
Yep. The Curtis walks the red carpet with this new artist, Tania. I wrote it down, but I can't, because the point is nobody cares. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, and they're like, he's like, this is so-and-so, and they're like, oh no, there's, they quickly leave him in the dust on the red carpet.
Nobody cares. Yeah. Inside, we have Dina and Michelle and Laurel come out, and they perform Hard to Say Goodbye. Uh-huh. And during the performance, notably, during the line, I'll always love you, I'll always care, Dina is gesturing.
Singing to Curtis.
Up at Curtis, yeah. But we also spot everybody else relevant throughout the movie. They're in the audience. Yeah. And then, this is when I get a little teary-eyed.
She brings out Effie.
Oh
my God, I cried. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So Dina says, we're going to bring out an original dream, one of the original dreams or whatever. Yeah. And she brings out Effie, and they sing like a slower, version of Dreamgirls.
And not only that, but most importantly, Effie sings the lead.
Yes. Yeah. And Curtis comes and stands next to Magic.
Yeah, because Curtis is looking down. He sees Effie singing to her daughter in the front or second row. And as he looks down, he figures it out pretty quickly.
So this is when I cried. When Magic is crying watching her mom.
Yeah, it's the sweetest moment. I agree. When Magic cries about her mom. Yeah.
And I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's the movie. So what we didn't establish earlier, what was your overall score for this one?
Oh, okay. What is my grade for this? I don't know. What are you thinking?
So, as I said earlier, I don't think the music is super duper memorable. Mm-hmm. But I think the movie, it is a good movie. Musical or not, this is a good movie. You know.
But I mean, the plot is largely moved along with montages.
It is. They're montage heavy. But the plot, it's a good plot, and there's a lot of plot.
Yes.
That they achieve in a short amount of time.
Well, yeah, and they have to get through X amount of plot really quickly. It makes me
really wonder, what is the stage show like?
I was wondering that, too. How do they get to all of this in the stage show? Yeah.
Unless maybe there's just a lot, we go a lot deeper with the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
If anyone has any insight or has seen the stage show, let us know how do they do this. I
don't know. I mean, I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna give it an A.
Okay.
Like, as a movie, I really do think it's a great movie. Yeah. I can't get enough of Eddie Murphy in this movie. Jennifer Hudson gives one of the most memorable performances ever.
Yeah.
It's Beyonce's breakout as an actress.
Listen,
Jamie Foxx is great.
Yes. Anika Noni Rose is amazing.
She's great. I mean, there's really Danny Glover. He's fine, but he's great. He's Danny Glover.
He's Danny Glovering.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like... It's the montages. The montages are the only, like, true negative thing I have to say about this movie. And it's not even really a negative. It just is.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they move the plot along. And I agree. I think that
that's how... Like, is it easy? A little bit.
But I agree that that's the way to do it.
To fit that much plot in 2 hours.
Absolutely. Because I don't know how long the stage show was. I'm guessing it was, longer. And do you know that I think you mentioned the 3 songs that were added.
4 songs.
But the fourth one was the Campbell Connection song that was written for the movie.
Right. Perfect World.
And then there's also a credits song by Beyonce and Jamie Foxx called When I First Saw You. That's super cheesy.
I always forget that Jamie Foxx was a singer. I don't know which came first, though.
I think that he first started singing in that Ray Charles biopic.
No, he was a singer before that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I would say I don't know if I would give it an A because of the curve. I want to go B+.
Give it 5 stars then.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I want to give it B+ is where I'm going to go, I think.
I'm going to give it 5 Beyoncés. Or 20, no, I'm going to give it 28 Grammys. Isn't that right?
Yeah, Beyonce
That's what Beyonce has?
Beyonce just broke the record for a number of Grammys for a single artist.
I give this movie 28 Grammys.
28 Grammys. So, do you have any thoughts about recasting? It's
absolutely not. I don't think it's even worth engaging in.
It was super recent, so it's hard to recast.
That being said, it's only a few years older than like Moulin Rouge.
That's true. I did have a couple of ideas for not Dreamcast.
No, go ahead.
For recasting.
Go ahead.
Just a couple. I mean, I think that this is one instance where I think that I know that we say Zendaya a lot.
Sure, but this time...
no, I really think that she would be a great choice for Dina.
Of course. I agree.
For Effie, I thought about Alex Newell.
I don't know who that is.
So he identifies as a gender non-conforming man.
Okay.
But was also... he was in Glee and played a trans woman on Glee. But also but his career as a singer is like heavily influenced by disco. Has a great voice. I think would be a good Effie. And he performs in roles as women and men and
so you're
trans
saying
people.
He would play a woman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think that would be good. Laurel. I thought, Chloe and Halle, like one of them could do Laurel. They're like a sister duo that Beyonce
from
discovered.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Did Beyonce discover that?
That's what JJ said.
I don't think that's true.
Well, you can take it up with JJ.
What? Like the ones that were on Nashville, the TV show? They played like Connie Britton's daughters.
No. You're thinking of Maddie and Tay.
That's the best I can do. I don't have space.
Chloe and Hallie, they are...
I don't have space in my brain for like another sister YouTube duo.
I don't know if they were YouTube, but they're incredible singers.
Oh, are these the Chloe by Hallie people?
Yeah, Chloe x Hallie.
Yeah, I thought that was Chloe by Hallie.
Oh, okay. Well, Hallie is the one that was cast in the new... She's going to be Ariel in the new Little Mermaid.
Oh, her name is...
Halle Bailey.
Right, and everybody freaked out.
They're like, Halle Berry's going to be Ariel?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and then,
How
like,
do you
stupid...
keep up with all of this stuff?
And then stupid people were annoyed about, like, you're taking away my childhood by making Ariel black.
Like, I know a lot of this, but I don't know how you know all these people.
And then, did you ever watch The High Note? With, I guess we're coming full circle here because, what's her name? Tracee Ellis Ross.
Tracee Ellis Ross, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Tracee.
Yeah.
I was so sure of myself.
So did you ever watch The High Note? It's Tracee Ellis Ross and Dakota Johnson.
No, it keeps popping up on my suggested Hulu watches. That's why it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think that's on HBO.
Or HBO.
Yeah, whatever it is. But there is an actor in it who plays Tracee Ellis Ross's son and also Dakota Johnson's love interest. But he's a really great singer. His name is, the actor's name is Kelvin Harrison Jr.
Oh my gosh, it took us way too long to get here.
But here we are, and he would be a good Curtis. For Michelle, I thought maybe Normani could do it.
I don't know who that is either.
She's from Fifth Harmony. She had the song.
Oh my God.
She had a solo song, the Motivation. Give you motivation.
No.
Okay. Anyway, that's all I had for recasting.
Oh my God, I hope other people know who that is. I think they will.
I think they will.
But okay, so as I said, I was not interested in trying to recast this one.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have some notes on almost casts.
Okay, I love these.
Yeah, me too. So Usher was considered for Cece.
Mm-hmm.
He was almost given the role, but he couldn't commit to the filming schedule.
Okay.
Then Andre 3000 was also considered.
Mm-hmm.
And then who else? I can't remember. Mm-hmm. Other fun notes. I think I mentioned this earlier. Jennifer Hudson beat out 782 other actresses for this role. Beyonce was the first person cast. Oh, other people considered for the role of Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith, Denzel Washington, and Terrence Howard.
Okay.
Denzel Washington said no because he can't sing.
Yeah.
He knows his limits.
I mean, good on him for knowing.
Handsome man.
Mm-hmm.
Also, have you seen his son?
No.
Oh my God.
Denzel Washington's son?
Yeah, you need to
super hot.
look him up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Tenet, and he was in Black Klansman.
Okay, I haven't seen either of those.
His name's like John David Washington, or David John Washington. It's one of the two. He's like Denzel Washington, but like it's like he's as attractive as it sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, those are most of my casting notes.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't a ton of, like, Beyonce, she really lobbied for the role of Dina.
Good. Yeah.
She really wanted it, so I don't think there were a lot of considerations for that character.
Yeah.
Did I mention, I know I mentioned that Joel Schumacher was at one point going to direct. Did I mention that he wanted Lauryn Hill to play Dina?
No.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for 2006.
Would have been a different movie.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about awards?
Sure.
Okay. So for the 2007 Academy Awards, they were nominated for a handful, but not any of the, like, biggies. A couple biggies. They had supporting nominations, but they did not get Best Picture or Best Director.
Yeah.
That year, it went to The Departed and Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Respectively. So I'm not saying they would have won,
Right.
but, interesting. Supporting actor Eddie Murphy, he lost to Alan Arkin, who won for Little Miss Sunshine.
Okay, yeah.
Jennifer Hudson, however, she won famously.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actress.
Who was she up against?
She beat out Adriana Barraza for Babel, also Rinko Kikuchi for Babel, Cate Blanchett for Notes on a Scandal, and Abigail Breslin for Little Miss Sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah. This is really interesting. They had 3 Best Original Song nominations.
Wow.
3.
For all of the songs except for the Campbell Connection song.
Exactly. Exactly. For Listen, Love You I Do, and Patience. Mm-hmm. And they all lost to, I bet you'll never guess which movie.
2007.
Yeah, so think like movies that came out in 2006. I mean, you're never going to guess
I'm not going to
this.
guess it. Go ahead.
An Inconvenient Truth.
Okay.
It was a song by Melissa Etheridge called I Need to Wake Up.
Okay, sure.
All 3 of those songs lost to that song.
Wow.
It was also nominated for Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, and Sound Mixing. Sound Mixing, it did win.
So it won 2 Academy Awards.
It won, yeah, it only won 2. Mm-hmm. At the Golden Globes, it did a little bit better. It won Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy.
Right. Which usually in this category, if there is a musical that is like...
That's anything good.
It's going to win up against a comedy.
Yeah. But listen to this. I mean, 2006 was a good year for movies. Mm-hmm. We had Borat, Devil Wears Prada, Little Miss Sunshine, and Thank You for Smoking.
Wow.
But, like, those are all good movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Borat is a little overplayed these days, but you got to think back to a time where you had never seen Borat before.
And I could even have seen Little Miss Sunshine winning in this category, too. I mean, it was really critically acclaimed at the time.
Best Actress, Beyonce was nominated. Mm-hmm. And this is Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy.
Yes.
She lost to Meryl Streep. She's like, duh, fair.
For Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah. Like, if you have to lose... Like, you want to lose to Meryl Streep.
Who was it that won the Oscar and said, I beat Meryl? Who was that?
Oh my, was it Anne Hathaway?
No, she said it came true.
I know, but I could just see Anne Hathaway saying that too. Was it Jennifer Lawrence? It sounds like something Jennifer Lawrence
Yeah, maybe it
would
was.
do.
Yeah. I don't remember who did it.
Or was it someone unexpected?
I can look it up.
I think it was Jennifer Lawrence. $5 says it was Jennifer Lawrence.
I'm just going to Google, I beat Meryl. It's Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes! Okay, you can Venmo me, by the way.
Okay. What did we bet?
$5.
You got it.
For Best Supporting Actress... Jennifer Hudson won that one. And I want to know, at the Golden Globes, the supporting categories are not broken up by musical, comedy, or drama.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's from the whole pool.
Yeah.
So at that one, Jennifer Hudson beat out, again, Adriana Barraza, Cate Blanchett, Rinko Kikuchi. I have to watch Babel. I've never seen it, and everyone got nominated.
Yeah.
And then Emily Blunt.
Oh, so Abigail Breslin was not nominated for the Golden Globe.
Not for the... Well, no, she was nominated for Best Actress.
Oh.
Right? Yeah.
Interesting.
No. Well, I think she was. Okay. I actually don't know, but I think she was.
Mm-hmm.
That was for supporting actress.
Yeah.
And then for best supporting actor, this time Eddie Murphy did win.
Okay.
He beat Ben Affleck for Hollywoodland. Didn't see it. Didn't remember it.
Don't care.
Yeah. Don't recall that at all.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson for The Departed, which is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Pitt for Babel.
More Babel.
And Mark Wahlberg for The Departed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, The Departed.
I mean, I love The Departed.
The Departed was like a huge critical hit.
No, I really like it, though.
Yeah, I think
it's a fun movie.
I've only seen it once. I don't like that much violence.
The Departed is one of those movies where if I see it on TV, like, I stop what I'm doing and I watch it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's just, it's a lot of violence for me, but...
Do you like Goodfellas?
I don't think I've ever even seen Goodfellas. It's
also quite violent.
I'm just not really... mob movies are not really my thing.
But sometimes they are universal.
Yeah, I would say
beyond those elements.
I said of the mob movies that I've seen, I think The Departed is probably my favorite.
But you don't like it.
But I don't love violence.
Last note for the Golden Globes.
Uh-huh.
Best Original Song nomination for Listen.
Yeah.
It lost to The Song of My Heart, written and performed by Prince for Happy Feet.
Okay.
Not familiar, but it's Prince, so I say makes sense.
It was probably a legacy award. You know how they do that.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, they'll just like.
He was alive. Yeah.
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 I don't think he died until 2016. So for Tonys, like I said, it won for Best Book, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Featured Actor, Best Choreography, and Best Lighting Design.
Yeah, it did well.
Mm-hmm. So anyway,
maybe better at the Tonys. But
yeah, I think it definitely did better at the Tonys.
Yeah.
Still didn't win for Best Musical, but
no.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I gave it 28 Grammys. So.
It did win 1 Grammy. All right.
29 now.
Do you have anything else to add?
I could, but I won't.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like this is done.
Yeah, I mean, I had some other notes about, Broadway production, but none of them are very interesting.
This is done.
I gave you what I could. Anyway, we can be done.
You get what you get.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. We have, I think, just a few more episodes.
3 more left.
3 more left in this season.
Yeah.
Which, who knows how long the season break is going to be. So.
Thank you, everybody, again from We Own This Town. This has been
The Hills Are Alive. A movie musical. Sorry. You don't want to say it together?
We can.
No, you go ahead.
We can. Let's do it together. A movie musical podcast.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Hills Are Alive Pod.